Welcome back, everybody. This is Unconditional Surrender, designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. We are about ready to head into the second half of the November 1942 turn of the Me, Myself, and I playthrough of the mains and bet scenario. So that's where we're at. Show you the game turn track. We are going into Western Operations phase. First thing we're going to do, since we're here, is we're going to activate the American Task Force. And it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And capture Iran. And then they are going to... that sortie should have been cleared on that airplane. Oh no, I had 2 sorties on before. So this airplane is also going to fly up then to Iran. Did I get the whole thing? No, I didn't. Damn it. And he's going to fly up there to keep the Americans company. So we give an extra sortie on him. That takes care of the American turn for the most part. They're waiting for stuff to come from wherever. While I'm over here in this side, I'll go down and finish North Africa in a minute. Since I have the ability to do this, I'm going to run the British bomber. He's going to run a bombing run at Dusseldorf. This is a kind of a quirky thing about the combat results table. The Germans would start off normally at +2. They would get -4 for their sorties, so they'd be at -2. The best that they can roll is a 4, and a 4 halved is a 2. And on the combat results table, a 2, when you're attacking, is always going to be a diamond or worse, which means the British bombers are going to get through, no matter what I do. So I'm not going to even bother to try and stop them. I'm hoping to get my sorties down here at the end of the turn. And so the British can go as many times as they want. What they're going to do is they're going to fly once to Dusseldorf, ping, and come back, and then fly once to Aachen, and they'll end up with 4 sorties because it's 1 sortie for each. But there's absolutely no reason for the Germans to try and stop them because they can't. They can't even put extra sorties on them. So the British get 2 bombed markers out of that on Aachen and Dusseldorf. And the reason why I'm not doing any more is because I want to be able to do that again, because I'm going to have poor severe weather next turn, which will give me a good chance of getting through even with 2 sorties. I probably can get through once. This gives me basically a +4 to a +3 next time in December. And then hopefully in January I'll be able to get something similar, same thing in February. So hopefully I can get 1 or 2 bombed markers and kind of keep chipping away at the German factories is the idea here. If we can chip down their factories, we can keep them from being able to build too much and react too much to whatever else I'm doing. The British then come back down here to the Middle East, and yes, they will activate the BEF since it's in front. And it will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 52-27 up the road. It will attack. It will call itself an assault because it only has 1 attack by moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Costs 2 for the city, 1 for the unit. That's 10. So whether it's a mobile or an assault doesn't really matter at this point. Kind of the same thing we did before. I'm going to fly up this. If I can pick up the unit, I'm going to fly the 3 sortie unit up to here. And then I'm going to fly the 4 sortie unit to here. I can't pick up both of them. And then they each take a sortie for that. And then, see, I'd be minus, this is severe. No, what's poor? Is poor down here? What's the weather track? It's poor in the warm zone, but we're in desert. So he'd be -1, I'd be -3. Odds are we'll probably both get through. We'll see if this assault works. This assault does, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I spent 2 for the BEF. I'll go ahead and spend 2 more for the 8th Army. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They can't help this turn, but I was trying to think if I should try to bang the Italians for one sortie. Yeah, because that would make them -2 to my -3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to have the guy with 5 sorties hit the Italian aircraft. So he's definitely going to go to 6. And the Italians will only take 1 because I'm at -4. Best I can roll is a 2. With the poor weather, we're both -2, so it doesn't matter there. Oh, it won't matter. -3, -5. It doesn't really matter. Oh, never mind. We're not going to do this. There's no point to actually putting a sortie in here because of the -2 for the weather. It doesn't really matter. Why won't this highlight? Okay. So let's go ahead and resolve our assault. I start off as +1 as British. Oh no, it's clear weather down here, so that it would matter. It would matter. Oh, I'm an idiot. I keep going back and forth. I would have done this. It'll matter in the clear, because the desert's always clear. It'll matter when we get to this. We go to combat commitment. Everybody's going to go say yes, because I'm not going to forget to use my Italian tanks marker this time. I put an Italian tanks marker here, and the British put a British tanks marker here. And the British commit an aircraft, and the Italians commit an aircraft. So their aircraft is -2. Oh, he's a defender. And my aircraft is -3 because I'm +1 because I'm British. +1 because I'm British, and -4 sorties, so I'm net -3. So the British roll on the attack die roll here. 2 -3 is a 0. And at -2, 4 -2 is a 2. 1 to a 2 is a diamond, so we both get our airplanes through. We each take a sortie. So then we get to the Italians have a tanks marker, which adds +2. So come up to 0, and then their airplane is +2 because this is desert, and the desert zone is always clear. The British started off at +1 because they're British, +2 for their tanks marker, +2 for their armor. So it's a +5 to a +2. British roll 4 + 5 is a 9. Italians roll 3 + 2 is a 5, which on the combat results table, a 9 to a 5 is a DR. So first thing I'll do real quick is I'll put the tanks markers on the turn track for next turn. He must retreat. The British will advance, which will make the fleets have to go somewhere. They're going to go to... Grief, I have no idea where to go. I do get to go wherever I want. That's the nice thing I like about retreating fleets. Since I'm not going to be able to rescue this guy, we're going to go ahead and retreat to Naples. Or do we want to retreat to Palermo? Maybe we retreat to Palermo. I don't know. I have no idea where the right place is to go with the Italian Navy. I still haven't figured out how to play the Middle East for the Germans with the Axis yet. And these guys each get a sortie because they were forced out of their port. And then I get to place a control marker. So Tripoli is now mine. That does 2 things to the Italians. They lose 1 for an overseas city, so they're down to 6 will now. And their factory count goes down by 1, because Tripoli is actually a factory. Ta-da! And so the British simply have to chase the second around a bit, I guess, before they can kill it. It's there to annoy me. Yeah, that's it for the British, I think. I don't have anything else to do with them. I don't have any shenanigans with fleets and things. So I have to do my supply, my standard down here. 2 here and 2 there, which will be coming off when I start spending my points. And the Americans have to spend 2 on their convoy over here. So he goes up to 5 for supply. And yeah, boy, howdy. Yeah, I'm going to, I want to take Force H and put it out here next to Plymouth so that I can remember that I have something that has 5 sorties on it. I keep forgetting it exists. So I might want to actually spend some money to, it's on my production to take care of that. So that's West operation phase. We go over to the Soviets. So the Soviets are going to 2, 4, 6. They're actually going to move the, how is that, 8th Army? Move the 8th Army to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So they can take the 4th Shock Army and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to attack the 4th Army. So I've activated 2. Then I'll activate this one, and I'll activate this one. So I've activated 4 guys. Go to my national tracks, take off 4. So I'm down to 24. No. Only have 24 points left. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually reset everything, and I'll go back and reactivate these guys. Move there and there so they show that they moved. And then activate these 4 guys. And we're assaulting the 4th Army. The question that arises is, do I want to capture Tula more or Rezev? I think I want to capture Rezev because it's such a nice defensive position. The Germans will have conniption fits trying to take it from me. And I still might get Tula if I'm lucky. So, yeah, we're going to go here. Let's start this off. I have a +1 because the Shock Army here, where is he? This guy. The Shock Army there, I just highlighted and unhighlighted. He's a +1 because he's elite. And then I get +1 for each of my buddies. And then it's -1 for going into the city. The Germans start off at +2, and that's all they get because there's nothing they can add. Now the Russians do have heavy artillery. And I'm really seriously thinking about going ahead and using the heavy artillery here because it's one of the things you can use in severe to give you a kind of a bonus. So I'm going to drop their heavy artillery out here on the map. And that gives them a +2. So now they're +4 to +2. Hopefully they'll get even with a halving, that they'll get a retreat. And the Russians roll. A 6 +4 is a 10. Halved is a 5. Germans roll a 4 +2 is a 6. Halved is a 3. And a 5 to a 3, see, the artillery made a difference. Because a 5 to a 3 is a DR. The Russians will retake their city. So the 4th has to retreat. The infantry will take it rather than the shock unit because I want to have retreat routes for everybody. And guess what? I got to roll dice. And what will the Russians roll for their heavy artillery? Oh, geez. They roll a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Won't be back till April. That's disappointing. But I get Partisans next turn, so I can use that to maybe capture a city somewhere along the line. So that was 4. think I need to do a little bit of shenanigans here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Excuse me, I can't count. So I'm going to activate the 3rd Tanks Army. And he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to here. And you're like, Fred, what are you doing? You'll see, you'll see. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. And I spend 1 for the 3rd Shock Army, who goes 1, 2, and goes over here. And I send 1 for the 2nd Shock Army. And now I have a +1 to a 2. Could have used the heavy artillery here, but I've got a pot shot at taking this hex. So we'll do Tula. Basically, I'm +1 because I have a shock army as the primary here. And then I get +1 for my buddy. And then I'm -1 for the city. The Germans are +2. And we have our die rolls. The Russians are all 5 + 1 is a 6, halves to a 3. There's a chance. No, there isn't. That's a 3.5, rounds up to a 4. So nothing happens here. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I should be down to 20. And I am down to 20. Do you need to save 12? What have I got in my faction card? 12, 13, 14, 15. 15. So I can't move too many more because I want to replace this guy for 2. So that's 15, 16, 17. So I can move like 3 more guys, maybe. He's going to move to here. Oh, but if I move him, it costs me production points. I want to leave him alone. He's going to cost me 2 to replace. I don't want to move him. Maybe I go ahead and do this. What did I say? I could move. I need to have 12 plus 3 infantry is 15 plus 2. I need to have 17. I have 1. I'll just move this guy up. 1 to there. And this guy to here. And they could assault the Hungarian. Oh, maybe I'm not going to build a couple infantry this turn. Because I have a chance to get some interesting positions here. I want to spend 4, and that would only put me at 16. And if you look at my faction card, mobilization-wise, I have 2 infantry, a shock, that's 3. And then there's this armor up here, which is 4, 5. And if I'm at 16 and I go for that, I have to basically forget an infantry army. So I'll build the shock and this and do that. That would be 4. Yeah, then I can do my 16. So we're going to activate this army. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this one also is going to activate. And they're both going to assault the 18th. They start at 0. They get +2 because he's isolated, and he's a +2. And that's what there is there. So it's a +2 to +2. Russians are trying to get a pot shot in here. So away we go. 4 + 2 is a 6, half to a 3. Worst the Germans can roll is a 2. Because if they roll a 1 +2 is a 3, half to a 2. So they're not. Nothing happens. Why did I activate him? And then the Russians are going to move this guy 1, 2, declare an assault on these Italians, Hungarians 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the unit, 8 for the hex. So these 2 get activated. Maybe if I can find the keys, and then they will be attacking him. He's at -2, and we're at +1. Oh, actually, I was an extra +1 here. but it wouldn't matter with the die roll. The attack against the 18th was actually at +3 because I had a buddy in my assault. So I would have been +3 because of isolation to his +2. With the die rolls that we rolled, it would not have mattered because the Germans rolled a 3, which would have halved up to a 2. I would have had... Let's go back and check. Maybe it made a difference. The Russians rolled a 4. They would have been at +3, which would have been a 7. 3.5 rounds up to a 4. Germans would have rolled a 3, which becomes a 5, which rounds up to 2.5 rounds up to a 3, and a 4 to a 3 when you do the halving. And look it out, it's still a diamond, so nothing would have happened there. And here we're +1 to -2. And the Russians roll a 5, +1 is a 6, half to a 3. And they have a 3, -1, -2 is a 1, so they have to retreat. They retreat a hex, and the Russians will advance this unit here. Okay. That's about all we can do for this time. And that should put me down to 16. Because I activated 4 more units. And that's where I have to stop because I have to rebuild some stuff. I want to build another shock army. I don't know where I'm going to put them. Cities are all occupied. But I'll find a place. And that's the end of the operations phase for the Soviets. 1, 2, everybody's in supply. So we can clear this. Nobody has a no supply marker. So we're to the replacements phase. And as I was saying, I got interrupted there, so I had to break the video for a second. We are at replacements phase for the Axis. Bring up the national tracks. They have 16. Much as I'd really like to build up my stuff, if I get poor weather, I'm going to need to match the Russians. So I need to put 12 over here. Part of me says I should drop the 3 here because I really don't need the land unit yet, but I'm going to need him soon. So I'm in a real quandary here with only having 16. If I build the 2 land units, he's just going to bomb me like he just did here. Probably take a factory from me. So, kind of stuck. I think I'm going to... I saved him so I could build the land units, so maybe I won't do all the planes in Russia. This one's farthest away, so I won't do him. So I'll do this one, and this one. That's 9. And I'm going to do the one in Europe, so that I might have a chance. See, in poor weather, I'd be only -2. So I could probably stop 1 of his bombing runs. Maybe 2 if I get really lucky. So that's 12. And then I'm going to not spend any more. Not the Italians are going to spend their 10, but not... I never can get this to unstack right. Okay. So I have 4 left, and if you look at the faction card, I can build the Africa Army and the 5th Panzer, whatever that is. So yeah, I think I need to get my Panzers out, my mobile units, get them out and get them ready to do things. Probably going to end up in Italy rather than in the East because I got to have something there to stop the collapse. Well, it won't stop the collapse, but I have to be able to block the British from just running up and capturing Berlin. So that's the German replacements. The West. I get to go do the easy ones first. Where are the green counters? They just get to clear their sorties because they're green counters. Actually, it's because they're... I always do that. I always forget that that thing goes around the corner. I really wish that it would just go to like 0 sorties and then you could just leave it there knowing you're going to put sorties on it. The British now have to pay for theirs. Oh, I guess we can get rid of the assault marker. So this is 3, and this is 3. So I got Italian airplanes. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I forgot to do the Italians. I'm doing the West, and I forgot to do the Italian replacements. 3 here, and 4 here, and 4 here. That will leave me with 1. That's 3 and 8. That's 11. Notice I don't bother doing the convoys anymore because they don't mean anything to me anymore. The Italian convoys are just sort of there. They're kind of wasted. Well, it's not that I don't need national tracks. So the Italians have 1 point left. So they'll be able to build one of their militias. Okay. Now, I'm under the impression with the Italians that I am allowed to move, like, all the way to Tunis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm under the impression that because French North Africa is conquered, that the Italians can go ahead and move into that space. That may be wrong. Either if it is, then they would just die where they're at rather than up in Tunis. If they go to Tunis, I can possibly have an aircraft there and maybe move, a fleet and a convoy over there to supply it or something. But otherwise, it's not super important because the British are going to be able to pursue me and knock me out anyway. But I haven't, from what I read in the rules, that's allowed because it's conquered. It's not an active friendly country. If they were active, I know the Italians couldn't go in there because you can't go into another friendly active country. I'm just not sure about the conquered thing. I think that you should be allowed to. At least I play that you're allowed to. So whether I'm right or wrong, I guess I play that way. So things are getting dicey here in the south. I'm going to lose a German army, maybe. Look at the Germans. The West. Oh, I did 3, 6, 9, 12. So that's 12 out of the British. 10, 11, 12. I've got 6 left. So that's either 2 3s, which could be like a convoy, or I could take down my. Oh man. If I bring down my bombers, I think I'm going to have to. I need to get this thing down, and I need to get this airplane down. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it that way. There's 6, because there's nothing for the British to build. So that's the way we're going to do it. Then we go to the Soviets. We know that they're just going to spend. They're going to spend 12. 1, 2. Then they're going to spend 2 to flip that armored unit that's in there, right here. So he's going to get flipped, and then the airplanes are all going to come down too. So that I know I'm going to get an airplane soon. I think it's in January or something, which means I could start to outnumber the Germans in number of sorties by having an extra airplane counter. So I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. I could have made one go less so I could build more. Maybe I might do that with the guy here in Kalinin. Let's take a quick look at my faction card. That would let me build. Right now I can only build 2 units. That would let me build another face half tank. 2 units now I can build a shock army and an infantry. I think I'll just go with the shock army and the infantry for right now and keep my airplanes going. So that's the Russian replacements. There's nobody with a. Oh, Soviets have an upgrade, I think. Do they? Where is it? Soviets technically have an upgrade. So the question is do they want to upgrade anything? I think because it's so close to the front, but I am going to upgrade the 27th Infantry. Is going to go away, and this Guards unit is going to take its place. And the infantry unit in Granzi, we will... Oh, do we want to have it be in Granzi? Or do we want... I really don't have anything else that's not in contact with the enemy. So we'll have Granzi also be deleted. That is another optional rule that goes with the optional weather, sort of an optional rule on placing Guards units. It takes 2 infantry units, not on the, in the eliminated or mobilization box. They actually have to be on the map or in the map box. It takes 2 of those infantry units, and one of them gets replaced by the Guards motorized infantry unit. In a game I'm playing right now, we didn't use that rule, and the Russian just has, I don't know, anywhere from 6 to 12 regular armies that he can't move because he's busy moving all of his Guards and his tanks, and they just are getting in the way. So I think this is a good rule. It makes the Russians focus on one front at a time, which is very historical. 1 month they attack in the south, the next month they attack in the north, and third month they attack in the center, things like that. So I think it's much more, gives you the better flow of how the Russian front really works, because even the Germans are running into that. In clear weather, they tend to only be able to attack, other than the first turn. It's like, okay, concentrate on the south this month, concentrate in the center, and so on. So it kind of plays both ways. Works pretty well. And that was the upgrade phase. Mobilization, the Axis saved these dang points to go spend, so they're going to go buy their stuff. And since I'm really thinking I'm going to end up having to throw these things into Italy anyway, so spend my 4, and the Italians will spend their 1. Okay, and let's go get our faction card stuff out. Italians spent 1. They're going to spend this to move this down. They're going to drop him in Palermo. And then the Germans are going to drop Africa Army in Munich. And the Panzer... I don't know where I'm going to put the Panzer. Get these things out of my way. Jeez. It's not a good place to put the Panzer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I could get into Bologna with him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. I can get to there. So maybe we'll just put him in Stuttgart for now. Probably strategically redeploy him wherever I want him to really go. When I think about it. Yeah. It's my mobilization. The West, did they have anything? They don't have anything. No Americans to put on the board, so. Soviets had 2 points left, I think. So they're going to spend them. They're going to pick up a couple infantry or an infantry and a shock. I'm not sure yet. So get this, and we got to go over here to Russia. I don't have anything in Granzi. I don't think I'm going to get attacked in Granzi, but I'm going to go ahead and throw a shock army down here anyway, just in case I miss something. And then I have a regular infantry unit that I'm going to put on the board somewhere, but I don't know where. Get this out of my way and scroll around with him. So where am I going to put him? I could put him in Yaroslav, I could put him in Kalinin, I could put him in Bulgaria. I really think I need to be more towards the south. I think I'm going to need to stretch the line a bit, so I'm going to put him in Saratov. And have him march up to the front or something. Or strategically redeploy him to the front, I don't know. And that's the Russian mobilization. Diplomacy phase. Nobody's talking because we're all fighting. Victory check. They have not conquered Germany yet, so I haven't died yet. Then we bring up the faction card and put it in the corner over here. And we bring up the national tracks. Not the national tracks. Wrong thing to bring up. Turn track. There we go. And so we get, this is all Axis stuff. Let's get that. Germans get their heavy artillery and their submarines. I did miss putting the German tanks on the track, but they're coming back the very next turn. I only used them once. So kept the count right, just didn't move the counters like I was supposed to. And the British get an ultra, so they can combat that sub. And okay, now we got to do Lend-Lease stuff. The Russians get a Lend-Lease, so it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They'll get another one in June. And so do the British. So let's go. And the Germans. Now this has been errated that the first time they get it in 1942, it goes 6 turns out, but every time after that, it goes 4 turns. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. They'll get it back in. They'll get another factory in April. And that means that everybody's factories, the Lend-Lease UK went up by 1, the USSR Lend-Lease went up by 1, and the economic reforms went up by 1. So that's going to help everybody's production next turn. That's a good thing. And then, of course, the Russians get a partisans. Now they can keep that partisans to use in combat here, or they can maybe throw it at the strategic warfare phase, since it does not look like the Germans are going to be able to collapse the Russian will. The Germans have 1 turn to take out 8 will points, and the Russians will not have a chance to take it back. If they get to 0, they're just collapsed. So there's no point to worrying about it. I think I'm going to use it in strategic warfare next turn. I may change my mind when I get there. That's the end of turn phase. So we have concluded the November 1942 turn. It will be December 1942 when we return. This has been Unconditional Surrender. I'm Dren608. This is the Me, Myself, and I playthrough of the main event scenario. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the videos so that you won't miss any episodes going forward. Please leave me comments. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. If there's something else you'd rather have me do. If you need me to explain something more when I'm doing some of these bizarre little moves and some of the math I do with the combat results table, having been messing with it constantly day in, day out for several months now, one way or another, I'm getting pretty close to knowing what the results are, and when certain things are just automatic, results, automatic DRs or whatever. So we will see you next time. It will be December 1942, the last chance for the Germans to try and collapse the Russians. Bye-bye.